Shalom to my brothers and sisters who are in the body of Yahushua HaMashyah, and to the scattered Hebrew Israelites who are throughout the four corners of the earth. Today I bring you some exciting news. Once again, the moon did not show at its appointed time, but this month, not only is the new moon crescent phase affected, also there are two other moon phases that are affected as well. Here you see the calendar for this month, which will be the 12th month of the Hebrew calendar for the year of 2016 to 2017. Now, I will blow this up by just minimizing it so you can see we do have a lot going on in this month with some holy feast days as well as some historical, biblical information as well. But first, for the proof. Today was the day when they sighted the new moon crescent. It was sighted globally and in Israel on, let's see, today is February the 27th, which is Monday at sundown. And this comes from the biblical calendar form, AV, Bali, and New Moon Reports. And this new moon crescent was sighted by Roy Hoffman. Okay, take this time now to pause the screen to read what this person wrote, and forgive my tongue for what this gentleman wrote. But here's a picture of the new moon crescent. I hope you can see it. Take this time now to pause the screen. It's a real sliver crescent. You can barely see it. Okay. Also, another site you can go to for confirmation is renewedmoon.com. Here it has the report globally and from Israel. And as you can see, it has been confirmed in several places, not only in modern day Jerusalem, Israel, which is known as the Amorite Jerusalem / also known as Elia Capitona. Okay. And that's just a little mystery for those who understand what I'm saying about modern day Jerusalem. Okay. Also, it has been sighted in Saudi Arabia, Dubai, South Africa. I'll bring this up so you can see it, as well as in other areas throughout the land of Israel. So take this time now to pause your screen to review this information. Now to the interesting part. You probably saying, what is Sister Yedius talking about? So let me first blow this back up where you can see it. Okay. Here we go. Let's see what it's going to do for me. Now, how it is with computers. Takes a while. Let me bring this back down. It's a little bit too big. Here we go. So this is the 12th month. And this month is fulfilling the prophecy of how the moon shall alter her order and how she shall not appear at her appointed time, as prophesied by the prophet Enoch. And I highly recommend people to read 1st and 2nd Enoch so you can truly understand the mysteries pertaining to the sun, the moon, and Mazzaroth. And Mazzaroth is the 12-star constellation. So for this month, it's the 12th month. And again, the year is from 2016 to 2017. And this month is called Adar, and this word can be found in the Bible. So what happened today was they sighted the moon crescent, okay, on the 27th of February at sundown, which fulfilled 1st Enoch chapter 80, verse 4. Now, I'll explain to you why I have on my calendar as the first day being the 26th to the 27th of February of 2017. And I'll explain to you why I would say this is the first day. But when you look at the other moon phases for this month, you will see not only was the full moon affected by this, but also, so one more phase, the half waning moon was affected by this, and you'll see what I mean as I explain the calendar. So let's start with day 1. Day 1 for me shall begin on February the 26th to February the 27th. That would be my first day. On day 2 of the moon, that's when they sighted the new moon crescent, which was sighted on February the 27th at sundown, and that day would end on February the 28th. Now, on the 3rd day of the moon, we have a biblical historical fact that you probably want to read. For on the 3rd day, the temple was completed during the days of Ezra, also known as Esdras, and during the days of Nehemiah. Read Ezra chapter 6 and 1 Ezra chapter 7. And that 3rd day for me will fall on March the 28th at sundown to February the 1st. Okay? Now for the half waxing moon. And this date and time is based off of Arad, Israel. It occurred on March the 5th at 1:32 p.m. So that time is before sundown. Therefore, this day will fall on from the 4th to the 5th of March. From the 4th at sundown, ending on the 5th at sundown. Okay? Then looking at the second week of the moon, this is a big week for us because we know we are getting ready to enter into Purim. So when you read the book of Esther, you will learn that the first day of the fast fell on the 10th day of the moon. Read Ezra chapter 4. The second day of the fast fell on the 11th day of the moon. And the 3rd day of the fast fell on the 12th day of the moon. This is the day when Esther went to the king. Also, this is the day where she held the first day of the wine banquet. And you can find that in Esther chapter 5. Then on the 13th day of the moon is our day of gladness because we have 2 historical biblical events to happen on this day. The 13th day of the moon is the 2nd day of the wine banquet, which is found in the book of Esther, chapter 5 to 9. Also, this is a day when Nicator was killed, and he was working with the Greeks. If you're familiar with 1st and 2nd Maccabees, you can read about that in 1st Maccabees, chapter 7, in the 1611 Bible version. Also, in the Apocrypha is the rest of the book of Esther, so also read Esther of the Apocrypha in chapter 15. So that day for me will fall on March the 10th at sundown to March the 11th. Now here's the thing of what I'm mentioning about the second moon phase that is affected. The reason why I have my new moon crescent to start on February the 26th to February the 27th is because my full moon day can only be on the 14th or 15th day of the month. Therefore, this is why I have the 14th day of the moon to be on the 11th day at sundown and to end on the 12th day at sundown for March 2017. What has happened this month is that these moon phases are occurring earlier before the day it should fall on. Okay? And if you look at past examples, the reason why I use this as my regulator, as the full moon only fall on the 14th or 15th day, because it is confirmed by the prophet Enoch and it's confirmed by the Gentile books and resources. Because the full moon can only fall on the 14th or 15th day. Now, my volume may change because I just adjusted my volume, okay? Also, on this day of the 14th day, you will notice when you go to timeanddate.com that the full moon fade occurs 52 minutes before sundown. Unfortunately, we won't see this fade of the moon being 100% illuminated because it would be below the horizon, okay? So this phase again occurred 52 minutes before sundown, and the timing of the moon to be at 100% is at 4:53 p.m. Okay, so this is why we are seeing the moon altering her order or not showing, because now in this month her phases are occurring several minutes before the day it should happen. Okay, so what would happen in Israel if they say March the 27th at sundown to March the 28th at sundown is their first day of the moon? What will happen is the full moon day will be pushed back to the 13th day. Now you see why I have my first day as being March the 26th at sundown to March the 27th at sundown. We're ending at March the 27th. I'm sorry. We're ending at February the 27th at sundown. Okay. So after sundown on March the 12th, okay, after sundown on March the 12th, when we see the moon above the horizon, it would be around 99.9%. So the 14th day of the moon is the first day of Purim. Again, read the book of Esther in the Old Testament and the Apocrypha. And the second day of Purim will fall on the 15th day of the moon. Okay? So that's the second week of the moon. Now, on the third week of the moon, we have the sun entering the first star constellation known as Aries. This is dealing with Mazzaroth, okay? Also on the 22nd day of the moon, for the ones who are in the west, such as America and Hawaii, the waning half moon, that means 50% decrease in light, will fall on this day for us, which would be March the 19th at sundown, ending to March the 20th at sundown. However, for Israel, their waning half moon will fall on March the 20th, okay, after sundown, okay? So this phase of the half waning moon is 8 minutes after sunset, because sunset on their day for March 20th is at 5:50 p.m. on that day. Okay, so if I had moved that moon phase, oh no, I'm sorry, by me having my new moon crescent for February the 26th at sundown, when you go by Israel time, you will have your half waning moon on the 23rd day. Okay, so this is why you see two moon phases on the same week. However, for us who are in the West, such as America and Hawaii, that would not be a problem for us, because our moon phases on our days would fall on the correct day and the correct week. So this is a great example of the moon manifesting to us that the children of Israel are still scattered and they're not in the Holy Land. For we know the ones who are in the Holy Land are not the children of Israel. They are the sons of Japheth and the sons of Esau, as prophesied in the Bible. Read Deuteronomy chapter 32, Genesis 9:25, and Genesis chapter 10. And also in the video description box, listen to YAHUWAH Messages, and it will confirm to you what I'm telling you. For the heavens, such as the moon, is manifesting themselves to us as signs to let us know that the true children of Israel are not in the Holy Land. They are still scattered. Okay? So this is the second moon phase that was affected this month of the moon altering her order. Okay? So in the fourth week of the moon, let me bring this up some now. We have the last waning crescent of the moon to fall on March the 26th at sundown and to end on March the 27th at sundown. And your dark moon will fall on the 30th day of the moon. And that will that phase of the moon would be from March the 27th at sundown to March the 28th at sundown. Again, when you go to timeanddate.com and you look at these moon phases, you have to look at the date and time. And the dark moon for March the 28th will occur at 5:57 a.m. Israel daylight saving time. So that time is before sundown. So that's why it's from March the 27th to March the 28th. Take this time now. We'll bring this up to pause the screen to look at that and to look at the time for the different moon phases. So we have from the 27th to the 28th. Now here's some notes that I do want to go over. When we look at day 22, for Israel, their moon percentage would be 49.9%. But for us in the West, such as America and Hawaii, our moon percentage would be 50% on that day. Now, I will explain to you about how I got the moon percentage to be at 1.3% at 5:34 p.m. Israel time, okay? That occur on February the 27th. So I will explain to you about that. Because there are several countries you can look at on timeanddate.com to get an estimation of what the moon percentage shall be at the time of sunset. Okay? Again, this other line right here that you see is just saying that the waning half moon occurs 8 minutes after sunset on the 23rd day of the moon. Okay? Now, there's a test you can do to confirm what I'm telling you and why I have my calendar set up for the 12th month like this. And the test that we're going to talk about is dealing with looking at the next month, because that is a guarantee to make sure that you're following the correct thing. And FYI, I do want to point this out, that daylight saving time is coming up. Okay, this is something that the Gentile honor. So daylight saving time will be on March the 24th for Israel on Friday at 2 a.m. Okay, IDT. Okay, for America, it shall be on March the 12th on Sunday at 2 a.m. Right? Now, for the numbers, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait to the next new moon report, and I'll give you all the numbers dealing with the moon extra time and the sun extra time and that. Okay? And I always like to wait to the end of the month to confirm the total number of moon days, so I can give you that total as well. Take this time now to pause the screen to get the first and second quarter totals that I have so far. Now, for the third quarter numbers you see here, hold off because I need to go back and make sure that my numbers were correct and make sure I added them correctly. But so far, the first and second quarter numbers have been checked. Now, also FYI, for the dark moon day, we did have a solar eclipse on this day, okay? And it was something else that happened. Also, on the full moon day, we had... Oh, I'm ahead of myself. For the 11th month, I do want to mention this. We had a solar eclipse on the dark moon day on the 11th month that you see here, which fell on the 29th day of the 11th month. We also had a lunar eclipse called a pre-lunar eclipse on that full moon day as well. So on the next new moon report, I'll go over that again and giving you all the finer details on that. I'm sorry. I just realized I had 2 months to represent the 12th month to show you the difference. So what you see here for my calendar, my full moon fall on the 14th day. But for those who are going by the new moon crescent that was sighted on March the 27th, their full moon day will fall on the 13th. Okay? So take this time to pause your screen to compare. But it's for the 11th month, we had a lunar eclipse on the 14th day. And then on the 11th month, we had a solar eclipse on the 29th day. Okay, so the 11th month had 29 days. And I do apologize. Sorry for me not explaining that I had two calendars for the 12th month to give you an example to compare. Okay, so take this time to compare your screen. This one right here, where you see this cursor moving, this is dealing with the 12th month based on Israel results of the new moon crescent. Okay, and what you see over here, where you see this cursor here, this is based on the 12th month. For me, going by the full moon being on the 14th day, that's why my new moon crescent is on February the 26th at sundown. Okay. All right, and take this time to pause your screen. If there's any errors over here, I didn't get a chance to look over here, I apologize. But this part on this screen over here is correct. I did get a chance to review all of that. Okay. Sorry about that. All right, now this is a picture right here just to give you an idea about the 4 quarter moon phases. Again, the beginning of the month always start with the crescent. That's day 1. Then we have for the first quarter, the waxing half moon. And that waxing half moon can fall on the 6th, 7th, or 8th day. Then for the second quarter is the full moon, and that can fall only on the 14th or 15th day. Then the third quarter, which is the waning half moon, that can only fall on the 21st or 22nd day from what I have observed. But you have seen what happened this month, what the moon did. It altered its order because it's manifested itself to us about the children of Israel not being in their homeland. And then the last quarter is the dark moon. That's the 4th quarter. And that can fall on the 28th, 29th, or 30th day. Now to show you how I got the moon percentage. What you can do, you can go to timeanddate.com and you can look at your moon's rise and moon set. And this is a graph of New York, of their moon rise and moon set time on February 27th. So we know Israel is the starting point there, so that's 0. So Kaduna, Nigeria is 1 hour behind Israel. New York is 7 hours behind Israel. And in Central Standard Time, it'd be 8 hours. And in Pacific Standard Time, it would be 10 hours behind Israel. And Hawaii would be 12 hours behind Israel. By knowing this, you can go to timeanddate.com and figure out what would be the moon percentage at sundown for Israel. And that's a great tool to use and to have, because through that I was able to get an idea what would be the moon percent. And something right here needs to be moved over. Yeah, that needs to be moved over. I do apologize. But this is how I was able to figure out that the moon percent would be about 1.3%, the illumination, at 5:34 p.m. Israel Standard Time. And that was 1 minute before sunset. Okay. So at 8:04 p.m. Israel Standard Time, the new moon crescent would be waxing at 1.6%. So that would be at night. And for me, that would be on the second day of the new moon crescent. And this graph starts from the moonrise time, okay, to the time at evening. So from 2:11 p.m. Israel Standard Time and at 8:04 p.m. Israel Standard Time. But the moon becoming 1% started at 2:27 p.m. Israel Standard Time. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see it in the heavens because of the sun being too bright and the moon falling too closely to the sun. Okay. So by the time the sun was going down, 1 minute before sunset, the new moon crescent was at 1.3%. So again, for this month, I just want to emphasize the reason why we see these moon phases off, the new moon crescent, the full moon, and the half-waning moon, is because the dark moon that fell on, let me go back up here, that fell on, here we go, on March the 26th for Israel happened so late. And that time of that dark moon happened at 4:58 p.m. on February the 26th. So you see how late it is. So you cannot see the new moon crescent until 12 hours later. All right. So this is why they can only see it on February the 27th. All right. And so this is why the other moon phases are affected. Excuse my phone. So I'm going back to that line graph so you can pause your screen and see that. So look at the chart. And the meridian passing right here, that 1.6% at 1:04 p.m. for New York is dealing with the time when the moon is high in the sky and the illumination is at 1.6%. Okay. For the line chart, I want you to pause the screen and look at that. And excuse the error because that 1.6% new moon crescent should be under at 8:04 p.m. Israel Standard Time. And forgive my tone. So at 2:27 p.m. Israel Standard Time, the moon was illuminated at 1%. And to 8:04 p.m. Israel Standard Time, the moon was illuminated at 1.6%. Okay? Take this time to pause your screen because that's just the information that I got from timeanddate.com so you can see how I was able to get this line chart that you see. And again, I just want to reinforce, this is how I was able to confirm my calendar for the 12th month. Again, you have to look at the dark moon, test for the next month, which fell on March the 27th, 2017 at 5:57 a.m. Therefore, they should have plenty of time to see the new moon crescent on that day, depending on, the sundown time and the illumination. So the first day of the new moon should be on March the 28th at sundown. And the reason how I know this is correct, because the full moon day is on April the 11th at 9:08 a.m. Israel daylight saving time. And this time is before sundown. So that day for us would be from April the 10th at sundown and into April the 11th at sundown. Therefore, by my new moon crescent day falling on March the 28th at sundown, when I count from that day, I would get 14 days. Okay? Because the 14th day would fall on March the 28th at sundown. So, in other words, write it out. My new moon crescent fell on the March the 28th. That's the first day. So if I count that, this is the second day, third day, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So on April the 10th at sundown is my 14th day. And that's the day of the full moon. Okay? And if we go back to timeanddate.com, you will see that the full moon day will fall on April the 11th at 9:08 a.m. And that is our 12th month, and that's the day of Passover. And right here is just some past information about the blood moons, because again, like the same thing happened in the prior years, like in September 2015, they was not able to sight the new moon crescent because of the sandstorm, but we in America was, and we also had a blood moon that day, which was the day of the Feast of Tabernacles, the 15th day. So that is proof to you, to show you that when your new moon crescent don't show at its appointed time, another way to verify what your new moon day should be, you have to look at that full moon day. Okay, that's one of the main tests you can look at. So take this time now to pause the screen to read that information. I just basically got it off from timeanddate.com. Another great example, let me see if it's here, was dealing with last year of 2016. Again, in Israel, they cited the new moon crescent on a different day than us in the West. We cited it a day before. I think we cited it on Saturday and they cited on Sunday. So for us, our Passover fell on April the 22nd at 1:23 a.m. Israel Daylight Saving Time, which was Friday. So that Passover day started on April the 21st, ending to April the 22nd. For the Jewish, their Passover was April the 23rd on Saturday. So their day of Passover started on April the 22nd to April the 23rd. And they didn't have a full moon that day, but we did. Okay. And this FYI, the dark moon was on April the 20. Make sure I got the right day. Hold on. There's an error in that part. Let me get you that dark moon. So the dark moon was April the 7th at 2:23 p.m. So we didn't see that new moon crescent till April the 8th at sundown. Okay, which made our full moon day to be on the 14th day, which fell on April the 22nd. So let me count. If you count from April the 8th, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay. So on April the 22nd, this full moon occurred at 8:23 a.m. So the 14th day would start on April the 21st and into April the 22nd. Because when I count my new moon crescent on April the 8th at sundown, I got to April the 21st. And we know how our day begin and end. So for April the 21st, our day would begin at sundown and end on April the 22nd. Okay? And I do apologize for that error. So the same thing happened last year. So this is why I'm going by my full moon. Take this time now to pause your screen. So I'm going to list these resources in the video description box. And also I found some good information to find out your solar actual year. I'm recording. So I'm going to list that information in the video description box. Now here's the formula to figure out the total number of days for your solar year. And I'm going to explain more about that in the next new moon. But this is a quick way to do it. Okay. Take this time now to pause your screen. But when you go to timeanddate.com and you get the solar year actual time, what they tend to do, let me go down this a little bit more. They do not add up the years. So you're not going to see 366. So this is where the prophet Enoch come in. Take this time down to pause your screen so you can take a look at this. In the 4th year, we are supposed to add up that quarter time. So for example, from 2011 to 2014, that's the 4th year. When you add up the actual solar time, you would get 366 days. Because when you add up that quarter time that you see here, when you add up your hours, your minutes, and your seconds, it'll give you an extra day, which is evident of that for those who keep a record. Okay, so for example, going back to my formula up here, you will look at, for your first day, you would count after the equinox. So we say our equinox fell on March the 20th. So we know there's 31 days in March. So 20 subtract from 31 would be 11. So you put 11 here. 334 is the total number of days from the other months, okay? But it don't include the leap day that occurs in February. So I would add, you take 20 from 31, would give me 11 days for March to 334. And we say my equinox fell on the 20th, so you put 20 here. 11 plus 334, I get 345. Plus 20, I would get 365. And you would do the same if you have the leap year, but instead of adding 334, you would add 335. This is why it's important to keep a record. If you don't, you will not see what the Bible is telling you, and you will not see what the prophet Enoch is telling you. Again, you have to read 1st and 2nd Enoch. Also on timeanddate.com, they will explain to you what is sunrise and sunset to them. Take this time now to pause your screen and read that. We'll talk more about that in the next video. All right, my family. This ended. I'm sorry I was so long-winded on this one. But here we have a great example of the moon of manifesting herself to us, where we can see she has truly altered her orbit, her order. And we see that she did not show at her appointed time. Okay. And we see that 3 moon phases was affected this month. That was the new moon crescent, the full moon, and the half waning moon. Because with either calendar, if you're following Israel, it's still going to affect one of your moon phases. If you're following what I have, it's still one of your moon phases going to be affected. So therefore, by looking at the dark moon for the next month, will determine what day your new moon day should be. And then looking at past examples of when the new moon crescent did not show at her appointed time, also confirm that we should be going by the full moon as being the indicator. Okay? And that full moon can only fall on the 14th and 15th day. So my family, this ends this video. I love you all. Continue to preach the gospel that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. For we know this is the season for Yahushua HaMashyah to return. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10 and baptize them in the name of Yahushua HaMashyah as written in Matthew chapter 4, Acts chapter 2, chapter 8, chapter 9, chapter 11, chapter 16, and chapter 19, and John chapter 3. Shalom.